They look at you with suspicion because you act as if the script was handed to you long before the play began. Every move they make feels anticipated, every trap exposed before it even closes. That unsettles them because it denies them the comfort of surprise. People like to believe they are clever, that their tricks are sharp enough to catch you off guard. Yet when you move calmly, as if you already accounted for their betrayal, their envy, their petty games, it breaks something in them. They can't accept that you read patterns so effortlessly, that you see the flaw in their schemes before they even commit to them. That is why they whisper. That is why they call it unnatural. They confuse discipline with prophecy, forgetting that preparation always looks like prediction to the unprepared. What they fear most is how unbothered you appear when their intentions reveal themselves. The moment they speak, you already hear the motive behind the words. The moment they plan, you already calculate the weak link. This isn't sorcery. It is the result of paying attention. Most people skim the surface of life. Distracted by noise, you studied silence. You studied hesitation, cadence, patterns of thought, and you learned to anticipate where things would collapse. Psychology explains it clearly. Humans are predictable because repetition betrays them. When you train yourself to notice repetition, you turn it into foresight. To them, it feels as though you know everything. In truth, you simply know them better than they know themselves. In relationships, this anticipation becomes dangerous for those who sought to manipulate you. They thrive on catching you off guard, on keeping you spinning in circles of doubt. Yet you stopped spinning. You began to see the cycle before it began. When they try to bait you with half-truths, you already know where the story bends. When they dangle affection to hook you back, you already see the moment they will withdraw it again. This foresight terrifies them because it strips away their power. They can't play their games when you've already written the ending. They lose before the match begins, and that loss leaves them panicked, exposed, afraid of your clarity. Friendships suffer the same collapse under your anticipation. Those who once played with loyalty, who spread gossip to test you, who would envy beneath fake smiles, none of it works anymore. You see the flicker in their eyes, the tension in their tone, the hesitation before they speak. You connect the threads they thought were hidden, and suddenly their intentions lie bare. What unsettles them is that you don't always call it out. Sometimes you simply let them reveal themselves in their own time, knowing the outcome long before they do. That patience frightens them more than confrontation. It is one thing to be exposed loudly. It is another to know you are already seen and still being tolerated. That kind of anticipation carries weight they cannot compete with. Work is another arena where your foresight becomes a weapon. Colleagues expect you to play into politics, to get tangled in petty wars, to respond impulsively under pressure. Instead, you remain composed. You anticipate moves, not because you are mystical, but because you pay attention to patterns of ambition. You can see when a rival is setting a trap, when a superior is testing you, when a system is being designed to collapse. Your ability to anticipate creates the illusion that you hold inside information. They don't realize that the information is visible to everyone, but only you cared enough to study it. That is why even the most trained, even those used to high-stakes environments, question you. They assume you are cheating, when in reality you are simply awake. The psychology of anticipation reveals why it feels like magic to others. The brain craves patterns. Most people ignore them because they are too busy reacting. You, however, slowed down, you observed. You noticed that words repeated often signal insecurity, that sudden changes in behavior signal hidden motives, that desperation always leaks in tone. By studying those signals, you built foresight. And foresight is the closest thing to control. To them, it looks like you know everything. To you, it feels like common sense sharpened into a blade. They underestimate how powerful awareness is until they are standing in front of you, stripped by their own predictability. What unsettles them more than your knowledge is your timing. You don't rush to prove that you see through them. You let things play out just long enough for their confidence to rise, then you cut it down with one precise move. That timing is what terrifies them. Predictability gives them hope. Your anticipation takes it away. They start fearing even their own moves, questioning themselves because they know you might already see the outcome. Their paranoia grows, and you don't have to move a finger to fuel it. Their fear does the work for you. Your silence becomes strategy, and strategy becomes domination. In love, anticipation saves you from chains. You no longer fall for sweet words when you know they're hollow. You no longer stay attached to cycles of hope and betrayal when you see the pattern before it forms. That foresight protects you, but it also unsettles those who once fed on your naivety. They wonder how you detached so quickly, how you stopped craving their attention, how you escaped the loops they thought would bind you forever. What horrifies them is not just that you saw the trick. It is that you stopped caring about it. Anticipation makes you free, and freedom terrifies those who depend on your entrapment. Your enemies whisper about how you always seem to be 10 steps ahead. They ask themselves who informs you, who protects you, who feeds you intelligence. The truth is harsher. You protect yourself with discipline. You feed yourself with observation, and you inform yourself by refusing to look away. They mistake awareness for prophecy. That mistake destroys them because they prepare for sorcery when what they should fear is your patience. They still don't understand that awareness is more dangerous than any hidden weapon. The one who notices everything is the one who cannot be caught. This isn't sorcery. It is the result of paying attention. They look at you as if you were born with some unnatural gift, some supernatural advantage that keeps you 10 steps ahead. But the truth is far simpler and far crueler. While they were distracted by noise, you were studying silence. While they chased applause, you studied the moments in between, the pauses, the contradictions, the inconsistencies that reveal more than words ever could. What feels like magic to them is nothing more than discipline. You trained your mind to notice the small details that others dismiss, and when stacked together, those details give you sight beyond the surface. You do not guess, you calculate. And because they have never learned to look past themselves, your awareness feels like prophecy. The ones who underestimate observation always pay the highest price. They think control comes from force, from manipulation, from loudness. They forget that most people expose themselves long before they are caught. Watch their tone change when they lie. Watch their eyes flicker when they hide envy. Watch the words they repeat when they are desperate to convince. The signs are everywhere, but they require patience to see. You had patience. You turned observation into armor and weapon both. That is why they are unsettled. They are not afraid of magic. They are afraid of someone who listened long enough to know their patterns better than they know themselves. That is not sorcery. That is paying attention until attention itself becomes a shield. Relationships teach this lesson in the sharpest way. Manipulators thrive on the assumption that you are blind, that you will accept words as truth, that you will miss the quiet signs of control. But you no longer lie blind. You notice the sudden kindness after cruelty. You notice the rhythm of apologies that repeat without change. You notice the bait, the trap, the hook hidden in sweetness. Once you start paying attention, the game ends. They cannot manipulate someone who has studied the pattern of their manipulation. That is why they panic around you. Your calm silence tells them you already see where their story leads. That silence terrifies them more than confrontation, because it proves they are predictable, and you are not. Friendships shift when you begin to pay attention. Those who hid envy behind smiles, who hid betrayal behind excuses, find themselves stripped. You don't need to accuse them. You don't need to expose them. All you need to do is watch. The way they mention your wins with hesitation, the way they celebrate others louder than they celebrate you, the way they grow distant when you rise. These things reveal everything. What unsettles them is that you don't react. You keep building, and they keep revealing themselves, unaware that their own behavior is louder than anything they say. This is not sorcery. It is the sharp clarity of someone who no longer ignores the obvious. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Work environments reveal the same truth. Colleagues think politics, gossip, and posturing will hide their motives. They assume you are distracted by the same noise that consumes them. But you pay attention differently. You watch who interrupts, who listens, who overcompensates, who panics under silence. You learn more in a meeting by observing the ones who say nothing than by listening to the ones who fill the room with noise. That skill unsettles them because it cannot be explained. They don't realize it's practice. They don't realize it's patience. They assume you hold secret knowledge. In truth, you simply value silence over noise, and in silence, everything reveals itself. What feels supernatural to them is nothing but discipline disguised as intuition. The psychology of attention proves why it feels so powerful. Human beings are creatures of habit. They repeat gestures, tones, excuses. They leak their fears without knowing it. The one who pays attention becomes a mirror, reflecting patterns others cannot hide. This is why your awareness feels impossible to them. They assume you read minds, but in truth, you simply read behavior. That ability creates an aura of danger around you. People fear what they cannot hide. And when you show them, without words, that nothing they do escapes you, their fear grows into respect. It is not sorcery. It is the brutal reward of observation. Love changes shape under this skill. You no longer fall for empty promises. You no longer cling to apologies without action. You no longer stay tied to cycles that repeat endlessly. You see through them all. Your ability to pay attention keeps you free. And freedom unsettles those who wanted you dependent. They wonder how you detached so quickly, how you saw through their stories, how you escaped the web they thought would hold you forever. The answer is simple. You stopped ignoring. You stopped excusing. You began to pay attention. Once you learned that, they lost control forever. Because nothing enslaves the one who sees clearly. Enemies crumble faster against someone who pays attention. They rely on deception, on the assumption that you are blind to their tricks. But you let them speak, let them plan, let them move, all while you study. Their arrogance blinds them to their own exposure. By the time you strike, they are already weakened by their own predictability. They call you ruthless. They call you unnatural, but the truth is simpler. They revealed themselves, and you noticed. That is the only difference. The one who watches does not need to fight often. They only need to fight once. That single strike is devastating because it lands where it hurts most, on weaknesses they didn't think anyone could see. This awareness is not about cruelty. It is about clarity. You no longer waste energy on illusions. You don't accept what people present. You look deeper. And in doing so, you protect yourself from traps that once owned you. You carry yourself differently because you know differently. They feel that difference, even if they don't understand it. That is why they look at you with fear disguised as respect. To them, it feels like sorcery. To you, it is simply refusing to be blind. The truth is harsher. You protect yourself with discipline, you feed yourself with observation, and you inform yourself by refusing to look away.